This song is about the militancy. My father has written it. The whole song is about how everyday people die like anything, and so many young boys and young men, they die, and he's praying to God, oh God, please do some solution to this problem, save us.
Shameen Dev Azad, the most renowned of Kashmiri singers, now rarely visits the valley she sings so passionately about. 12 years of separatist insurgency against Indian rule have left 30,000 dead, and have left Kashmiris with a deep sense of grievance.
Nobody is doing anything for this, problem, this cause. So day by day it is increasing. That's why, some people who really love their motherland and language and everything, so they want somebody should come and save these people, Kashmiri people.
The Kashmir issue pits two regional powers against each other. It's been a factor in all three wars between India and Pakistan, and 2 years ago almost sparked off a fourth. A complex problem with battle-hardened positions on all sides. I've travelled on both sides of divided Kashmir, to the areas under Indian and Pakistani administration, and to Delhi and Islamabad as well, to get a sense of whether peace could soon return to this mountain valley so often described by the poets as paradise. The bus touts do brisk business in Srinagar, the capital of Indian-administered Kashmir. It's a bustling provincial city, all too often soured by violence. That was a controlled explosion, a grenade thrown at an Indian security post which didn't detonate. Plenty do. And for a new generation of separatists, it's not just a fight for justice, it's a jihad, a Muslim holy war. That's certainly the view of Asiya Andrabi, the veil-wearing leader of a hardline Kashmiri women's group.
Kashmir will get liberated, inshallah, by the armed struggle only. Because as far as the politics is concerned here, and especially the political leadership here, it's quite clear that the way those political leaders are working and all that, Kashmir will never get free from India.
So you support the killing of Indian police, Indian soldiers?
Not only the police, but all the Indian politicians too.
How can that help to bring peace to Kashmir?
We want only that peace when Kashmir will get free from India. That freedom struggle is much more important than this peace they are talking at this time.
Such intransigence is part and parcel of the Kashmir conflict. It dates back to 1947, when India gained independence, but at the same time was partitioned by the British and a new Muslim nation of Pakistan created. The last Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir, a Hindu, decided that his mainly Muslim subjects should be part of India. Pakistan has been crying foul ever since. None more eloquently than Shiri Mazari, head of the Institute of Strategic Studies in Islamabad.
It is an unfinished agenda of partition. Kashmir, if the principles of partition had been adhered to, was seen as being part of Pakistan. And therefore, we feel that the struggle is part of us. It's not that we're aiding outsiders in their struggle for freedom. We're aiding people who are part of us and who should rightfully have been part of Pakistan.
Pakistan controls the western part of the former princely state, with its capital at Muzaffarabad. But the big prize, the Kashmir Valley, remains with India. Kashmiri separatists, some seeking independence, others accession to Pakistan, are still demanding the right of self-determination they feel they were cheated of more than half a century ago. But India has never accepted that Muslim-majority areas have a right to break away. George Fernandez, until a few weeks ago Delhi's defence minister, says that would strike at India's secular identity.
Well, India cannot agree to the idea that Kashmir is disputed territory. Pakistan has a theory where it believes that for the simple reason that the valley has a Muslim majority, it has to therefore be a part of Pakistan. They have been trying this since 1947. But if we accept that, then India ceases to be a secular polity. We don't subscribe to the theocratic ideas that Pakistan has.
Kashmir's culture, language and style of worship are all quite distinct. This is Friday prayers at the main mosque in Srinagar, with just a hint of Sufi mysticism. The hereditary chief priest here, Umar Farooq, is also the key voice in the main separatist alliance, the Hurriyat Conference. And he's anxious to remind both India and Pakistan that there's a third party to the dispute, the Kashmiri people.
Unfortunately, Kashmir issue is not a piece of cake that you can divide between India and Pakistan. It is a human issue. Right now, as things stand, people of Jammu and Kashmir are divided between India and Pakistan. Families are divided, people are divided. So this problem has a human dimension too.
My name is Shaukat Bath. I belong to Srinagar, and my father came from Srinagar, migrated in 48. I am not a refugee. I am a displaced man. I am living in my own country, in my own state. Practically now I am settled here at Muzaffarabad. But I am hoping, as and when Kashmir will be free, I shall go to my hometown.
How many relatives do you have in Srinagar?
The majority of relatives are there, and it's a tragedy with us that our families are divided, and we cannot join the joy or sorrow of each other. This is a tragedy with us.
And your family has suffered during the years of the Troubles?
I can quote a simple example. The son of my cousin, 6 years age, he was shot down by the army. My other relative, he was shot by the Indian army. I have not asked for it, but this political scenario, they divide. Okay, they must at least open this road so that we can easily see our kith and kins.
Can you write to your relatives in Srinagar?
Yes, but how it will reach to them, I don't know.
Well, there's one thing that I might be able to do. I'm going to Srinagar in a few days' time. If you wish me to take a letter which I can deliver to your brother.
That's fine. It will solve my problem.
Now, your daughter Ruhi is with us. Ruhi, I know you've got a letter you particularly want me to carry to your uncle and aunt in Srinagar.
In the letter, we give the good news. I have a 15 days old baby boy, and I want to tell the good news to my uncle and my cousin.
But do they know that you've had a baby?
No, they don't know.
Wait. What? Don't make face. Huh? Eh?
So this is your 15-day-old grandson?
Yeah. His name is Ashar.
He looks as if he's just woken up. He's stretching a little bit.
Yeah. He is doing some mischief, no?
Let me take a photograph of him, if I may.
Yes, most welcome.
And
Yes,
I'll also make sure the photograph gets to your brother in Srinagar.
that is good. That is good.
Stay still, little baby, and I'll come and take your photograph. Oh dear, that was a bit of a shock, I think, wasn't it? Not happy about that flash in your eyes, were you? From one half of the Butt family to the other is no more than 150 kilometres as the crow flies, but the journey took me 3 days. A long road journey to Islamabad, a plane to Lahore, an international flight to Delhi, and a third plane journey to Srinagar.
Welcome. Professor Butt.
Hello, how are you?
I'm quite okay.
My name's Andrew Whitehead from the
Yes,
BBC.
welcome to you.
Thank you very much. Let me explain why I've come, because I was in Muzaffarabad recently.
Yes.
And I met your brother. And I said I would take a letter to give to you because he explained to me how difficult it is to stay in touch. So this is your brother's letter.
So kind of you. How is he?
Your brother misses Srinagar very much. He talks about Srinagar.
Actually, he's a product of Kashmir, so he will miss it. His other brothers are here. Sister is here. That's the curse.
But look, I'm stopping you reading the letter. Do read your brother's letter.
He has communicated a message to me. His daughter Rui has produced a son.
That's a photo of your new nephew.
Thank you.
Of Ashar.
Ashar, new baby. So it is a great pleasure for me that I have received the photograph. My sister is here. Also, she is my sister.
Hello, how are you? I've come from Muzaffarabad. I saw your brother there, and I saw your niece Ruhi there, and I've brought a letter with the news that your niece has had a baby boy. And I've brought you a photograph.
She start weeping because of this distance. So we are feeling it very badly. We are divided family.
This is what has kept the Butts and so many other Kashmiri families divided. Pakistani and Indian soldiers letting loose artillery fire across a ceasefire line first established in the late 40s and since breached many thousands of times. But from last November, the guns of both armies have fallen silent. Indeed, the Indian army is observing 2 ceasefires. The one with militants inside Kashmir has had little effect, but the other, with Pakistan, is holding, making the line of control a ceasefire line in fact as well as name. The Pakistani army took me to see for myself, with a visit to their forward base along what was once the main road into the Kashmir Valley.
I formally welcome you to Chakoti. This is the last border town towards Pakistan side of Azad Kashmir.
I'm making my way now through what are really World War I style trenches, perhaps 4 or 5 feet deep and 3 feet wide, and these lead towards the line of control. They're cut through the hillside, and I'm coming out now into a larger open area, and I am now overlooking the line of control, and I'm going to ask Colonel Javed to explain exactly where the line of control runs from here.
Now if you look straight away just in front of you, you can see these wall types made in the clumps. So these are the forward post of the Indians, and you can see after some time they'll come up and you'll see the sentry also standing over there.
You're within waving distance?
Oh yes.
Do you ever wave?
No, we don't wave. But if the guests are around, just people like you, they always wave and they get the response from the other side.
Well, let me try.
He is waving for you. You're lucky enough.
Well, I'm now looking through the binoculars to the Indian post, and I can see a wall emplacement, and there is indeed a soldier peering over the top of it, an Indian soldier. Can you just explain, before the ceasefire, how much Indian artillery fire and gunfire would head in this direction?
It was very common in the morning, during noon and in the evening, and even at night. Other than that, if you just look on the left side of the river, you can see these fresh fields. The cultivation is in process. So the basic beneficiaries are the civilians which reside towards our side of the line of control.
They've been able to come back to their homes and start working again in their fields?
Well, yes, they have started.
So we're now in a farm, which I guess is, within 300 or 400 yards of the line of control. Have you been able to cultivate your land all through the Troubles? Zubayda's saying that in the old days when they used to plant crops here, every time the Indians fired across line of control, the shells destroyed her crops. But has life improved, Zubayda, since the ceasefire? She says life's better, a little better, and for the last few months in particular it has been peaceful and quiet here. But she's worried that the trouble's going to start again. In fact, she's convinced that one day soon it will start again.
Several days and 3 flights later, I was climbing up to a vantage point directly overlooking Zubayda's few scraps of fields. The guest of Brigadier R.K. Sharma of the Indian Army at their hilltop base, 7,000 feet up at Chaukas.
If you look to your right, down below, this is the line of control. It comes into the river, Jhelum River, comes in front of this hillock. The ridge line opposite us is held by Pakistan.
Well, I was at Chakoti just a few days ago in the Pakistani army camp there, and that is easily within shelling range of you, isn't it?
Of course. but we haven't shelled that area.
Now, the area is extremely mountainous. The gorges are extremely steep. Do you get people trying to infiltrate?
Yes, this is one place through which they have tried to come in the past.
And has the infiltration continued after the ceasefire?
Yes, of course. There's been no let-up. So many cases in which we've ambushed them and killed them. That's going on all the time.
Now, when we're talking about infiltration, what we're talking about is Kashmiri militants who are crossing from the Pakistan side of the ceasefire line to the Indian side with the intention of fighting you and your colleagues here.
These days, basically, the infiltration is of the Pakistanis and Afghanis.
When the mist is down, and it's down quite a lot of the time, it must be virtually impossible to stop them.
Yes, it is difficult. Now you realize the problem?
But also, very difficult for them to find their way, so they must rely on local people to guide them.
Yes, there are some people who help, there's no doubt.
Helping them out of commitment, or because they're being offered money?
Oh, money.
What's the going rate to guide people
I
across
think
these
about
mountains?
8 to 10,000 rupees per person they bring.
That's around about $250 per person.
Yeah, that means if they bring about a group of 10 people, they'll get 100,000 rupees.
Makes it worth it, doesn't it? Except if you find them...
Then they don't last more than a few minutes, because if they get into ambush, they die.
You don't take prisoners?
Well, if anybody surrenders, of course we shall take them. Of course.
Those armed militants who make it into the Kashmir Valley are now much more formidable opponents, as the senior-most Indian army officer there, General J.R. Mukherjee, concedes.
I'd put it as simply as this. The Pakistanis have tried to upgrade the level of proxy war through sending in better trained people, more of foreign terrorists. They are all undoubtedly much better organized, much better equipped than what they were before. And accordingly, we have had to evolve tactics and procedures.
Do you believe that there can be a military solution to the problem in Kashmir?
I think all of us do believe that we have to find a political solution. However, there would still be a requirement to deploy security forces to ensure violence is kept at an acceptable level to allow peace processes to evolve.
But do you ever find yourself in a position where you're passing on advice to your military or political master saying, if you let us take the gloves off, we can sort this issue out?
If you ask me as a soldier, at times I do feel that way. I'll leave it at that.
General Mukherjee's arch-enemy is Syed Salahuddin, a big, full-bearded bear of a man who heads one of the best-armed Kashmiri groups, Hizbul Mujahideen. And speaking in the Pakistani city of Rawalpindi, he's happy to take credit for a new, bolder militancy.
It is a part of the guerrilla strategy. There have been two types of change. Number one, the suicidal squads, and number two, the use of remote control technology. We have been able to inflict heavy casualties on the enemy forces.
On Indian forces?
Yes, definitely. And there has been a tremendous psychological stress on the enemy force. Heavy psychological stress.
Alongside Hizbul Mujahideen are newer groups with a reputation for ruthlessness and recruiting not so much Kashmiris, more among Islamic militants from other parts of Pakistan and further afield. Perhaps the strongest is Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Army of the Pure. Its spokesman, Yahya Mujahid, again Pakistan-based, offers no apologies.
वो मुसलमान हैं, मैं भी मुसलमान हूँ. कलमा जो है वो सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है.
They're Muslims. I'm also a Muslim. Our religion binds us together. And of course we should fight alongside Muslims who have been the victims of injustice, victims of terrorism, and victims of the world's indifference. Kashmir is our victims, and the world is not willing to help them.
जो है वो सपोर्ट करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है.
Bringing peace to Kashmir means doing a deal with the militants, or with those who control them. No easy task. But there's no option, according to Ali Mohammed Sagar, a Kashmiri Muslim state minister and a supporter of Indian rule. He says there has to be dialogue with those armed groups which are genuinely Kashmiri.
There are groups of militants who are remote control, who are being dictated and directed from the Pakistan. We are treating them our enemies. But there is a section of militants who are local. I think they are part and parcel of Kashmir. People who are here, who have some political aspirations, who have some political motives, they are there. We can talk to them. They are our own children.
And in Delhi, the former Defence Minister George Fernandes says the door is now open for talks with any Indian Kashmiri group, and that includes the armed separatists.
We believe that sooner than later, the militants and those from within the country will understand that the only way to resolve whatever disputes there are is through talks, and we will wait.
When you say all groups, you mean political groups, militant groups, anybody, whatever their goal, whatever they've done, who's willing to talk with the Indian government?
That's right. That's right.
There's been a lot of talk about talks, but very little hard talking. India and Pakistan are nowhere close to dialogue. And when it comes to Delhi and the separatists, neither side trusts the other, nor is willing to take the huge political risks which would ensue from starting serious negotiations. Pakistan's Foreign Minister, Abdul Sattar, in Islamabad's terms a dove on the Kashmir issue, warns that without political follow-up, India's ceasefire initiative will soon run out of steam.
Just declaration of ceasefire or of suspension of military operations, as the Indian government has done, do not represent an answer to the wishes of the Kashmiri people, who want political moves toward settlement of the Kashmir question in accordance with their aspirations. I am afraid that the momentum is in danger of being lost. Time has been passing and there is no implementation of these ideas so far.
The most conciliatory voice on the Pakistan side is Sardar Qayyum, the grand old man of Pakistan Kashmir. He fought in the first wave of militancy in the late 40s and now urges all sides to negotiate. But when he reflects on his divided homeland, there's an intransigence which helps explain why the Kashmir issue has proved so hard to resolve.
I sometimes go around the ceasefire line. We are so close that we can see the people moving and loudly talk to them. It's heartbreaking to see that you can't go and meet them. Blood boils, really. Why can't you go across? If I was young like you, I would have been there fighting with my rifle, you see, in Kashmir, fighting along with my brothers, fighting for a noble cause, a very noble cause.
कभी तो आएगा ऐसा दिन भी जब अपनी जन्नत में जाऊंगा मैं मिटा के
A young Kashmiri boy sings of a homeland he's never seen. His home is alongside a river which runs through Srinagar and on a road which leads to Srinagar, but he can't go there. He's one of 3,000 refugees at a camp just outside Muzaffarabad in Pakistan's part of Kashmir. The human consequences of half a century of diplomatic stalemate and of 12 years of insurgency. Walking through the camp, I came across 40 or so young boys and girls at the madrasa, the Muslim religious school, imbibing not just the Quran, but the Kashmiri cause. Syed Asadullah, you're the teacher here at the madrasa.
Yes.
Who runs the madrasa?
Jamaat Islami.
That's the Pakistan Religious Party.
Yes.
What sort of political message are you giving these children? Are you encouraging them to believe that jihad is a good thing?
Jihad is a very good thing. It is a very important part in Islam.
So these boys and girls, their parents would have come over from Indian Kashmir as refugees. Would you be proud if some of these boys went back to fight in Kashmir, fight for jihad?
Yes, all boys wanted to fighting with Kashmiri for jihad.
So if some of these boys,
yes,
when they grow up, go back to fight as Kashmiri militants,
yes,
with Hizbul Mujahideen or another group,
yes, yes,
you would be pleased?
Yes, they wanted to fight for Islam. He wanted our rights from India. They are rights on the Kashmiris.
I've come into one of the houses at the camp now. It's a neat square room with whitewashed walls. It's quite light and spacious, and it's the home of Sophia Bibi, who's here with her 2-year-old son. Now, if your son grew up to be a militant and took up a gun to fight for Kashmir, how would you feel? How would you feel about him risking his own life for the cause of Kashmir?
मुझे बहुत खुशी होगी कि मेरा बेटा अपने वतन के लिए लड़ेगा अपने वतन
I would be very happy if my son grows up to fight for his homeland. That's the reason I am getting him a good education. If I don't live to see a free Kashmir, it will certainly be free in his lifetime. That's what I long for.
अगर हमारे दौर में आजाद ना हो सके मैं ये चाहती हूँ
That's why the Kashmir issue is so difficult to solve. Fierce sentiments, a keen sense of grievance, compounding a diplomatic point of principle on which neither India nor Pakistan is willing to back down. There's no basis of trust on which to build a compromise. Kashmiris may sing about the beauties of their valley, but the scars of so much conflict and so much loss of life have not even started to heal.
कभी तो आएगा ऐसा दिन भी जब अपनी जन्नत में जाऊंगा मैं